Your conference will begin momentarily. Please continue to hold. There are 6 participants on the call, including you. You are now being joined to your conference. For a menu of available commands, press *#. At the tone, please speak your name. A participant has joined the conference. A participant has joined the conference.
Connie Lewis, LDH.
Has joined the conference.
Stella Joseph, Aetna Better Health.
Has joined the conference.
Ashley Mucciardi.
Has joined the conference.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Judge Robertson. I only heard a few of the names as you all came into the room, so I'm going to ask who's present. Mr. Bodin, I did hear your name. Is there anyone else there with you who will be participating in the hearing or listening in? Okay, so you're not sure if anyone. Okay, so you're not sure if anyone else is going to call in. You're not sure if anyone else is going to call in, but are you? Is there anyone else there in the room with you?
Has joined the conference.
All right. And did you receive a copy of the department's summary of evidence? Okay. All right. Thank you. Who is here representing, or who's going to be presenting the summary of evidence today for Aetna?
I am. My name is Ashley Mucciardi.
Can you spell your first and last name for me, please?
Sure. It is Ashley, Ashley, last name Mucciardi, Mucciardi, with Aetna.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mucciardi, I heard a number of other people call in as well. Do you know who you're expecting to call in?
Stella Joseph is also with Aetna, and I believe Dr. Madeline Main.
Okay, Ms. Joseph, are you here?
I am. Good afternoon.
Okay, can you spell your first and last name for me, please?
Yes, it's Stella. That's S as in Sam, T as in Tom, E-L-L-A. Last name is Joseph, J as in John, O, S as in Sam, E, P as in Papa, H as in Hotel.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Madeline, I apologize, I don't remember what your last name is. Can you spell your first and last name for me, please?
Sure. It's Madeline, Madelyn, and then my last name is pronounced Maine, like the state, but it's spelled Meyn.
Okay, thank you. I heard Ms. Lewis call in on behalf of the Louisiana Department of Health. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Lewis, are you expecting anyone else from the department to call in?
No, I do not.
Okay, let me see how many people I have here. Okay, did I miss anyone? Okay,
yeah, so, this is Dr. Yeah, I was going to say, we have Vanessa Smith on the line. She's our pharmacy director.
With Aetna?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And who else is here? Okay, so I have Ms. Lewis, Ms. Mucciardi, Ms. Joseph, Dr. Main, and Ms. Smith, and also Mr. Bonan. Is there anyone else that I haven't named who's present here? Okay, anyone else, for anyone who's here, anyone else listening in or participating on your line with you? Okay. All right, if you all will give me just a moment, I'll go onto the record and introduce this matter. I'll also allow you all to introduce yourselves once I go onto the record. And then once we do that, I'll provide some instructions. I'll swear you all in, and then I'm going to ask if you're not speaking to mute yourself, since there's so many of us on the line. If I have some trouble with some background noise, I will let you all know. Give me just a moment, please. Actually, Ms. Mucciardi, before we go forward, Mr. Bodin submitted some documents as well. It looks like there were 3 pages. Is that correct, Mr. Bodin?
Wait, when did I submit 3 pages?
It looks like these documents are dated February the 2nd, 2022. They may have been submitted for you by a doctor. Did you have some documents submitted?
I submitted a lot of stuff to Miss McCarty. I don't recall if I submitted a 3-page thing. Do you guys? When I did the follow-up to get to this appeal thing here, when I
wait just a moment, Mr. Bodin, before you say anything that you might want me to consider for the decision, we're not actually in the hearing. You're not sworn in, so you can't tell me anything that you want me to know. I just need to know if you submitted these documents or if you want me to look at them during the hearing.
You should look at them during the hearing because I actually don't recall. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have 3 pages from Dr. Bullmay. Ms. Mucciardi, did you receive 3 documents from the Division of Administrative Law on behalf of Mr. Bodin?
We had a few, Ashley Mucciardi, sorry. We had a few submissions, and yes, we got additional submission after the original state fair hearing.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that there are documents included in the state's documents, or in Aetna's documents, excuse me, that we'll be looking at today. There were also some documents submitted after that. Okay. All right. Once we get to that part of the hearing, we'll discuss all those documents. I just wanted to make sure you all had them. Mr. Bodin, do you need to receive a copy of those documents that were submitted on your behalf?
I'd like to. Yes, that'd be appreciated.
Okay. I'm going to ask the clerk's office to send those documents to you, but if you want them considered during the hearing, then I'll do that when we get to the appropriate point in the hearing. You may not receive these documents during the hearing, but if you want the documents submitted by your doctor considered, I can do that. Give me just a moment. I'm going to contact the clerk's office.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bodin, do you have an email address where you want those documents sent to you?
Oh, yes, ma'am. JEFFREYBODIN713
Okay, if you all give me just a moment, I'll come back in just a few moments. Thank you. All right, if you all give me just a moment, I'll go onto the record and we can get the hearing started. One moment, please. Good afternoon. This is the appeal hearing for Jeffrey Bodin, bearing docket number 2022-0424-LDH. Today's date is February the 8th, 2022, and the time is approximately 1:10 p.m. My name is Lynette Robertson, and I'm an administrative law judge with the Division of Administrative Law. I will be presiding over this hearing today. This hearing is being conducted via AT&T teleconference services and is also being recorded. I am participating in this hearing from the Division of Administrative Law in Baton Rouge. This hearing is conducted under the Louisiana Administrative Procedure Act and the Division of Administrative Law enabling statutes. We have multiple representatives here on behalf of Aetna, one representative from the Louisiana Department of Health, and Mr. Bodin is here. I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourselves one at a time, starting with Mr. Bodin, please.
I'm Jeffrey Thomas Bodin. Hi.
Thank you, Mr. Bodin. Ms. Lewis.
Connie Lewis, Program Manager, State Fair Hearing, Louisiana Department of Health.
Ms. Mucciardi.
Ashley Mucciardi, Appeals Nurse Consultant, Aetna Better Health.
Ms. Joseph.
Bella Joseph, Complaints and Appeals Manager, Aetna Better Health.
Dr. Main.
Dr. Madeline Main, Chief Medical Officer, Aetna Better Health, Louisiana.
And Ms. Smith.
Vanessa Smith, Pharmacy Director, Aetna Better Health, Louisiana.
Thank you. And Ms. Mucciardi is serving as the representative for Aetna Better Health today. Prior to getting on the record, I asked Mr. Bodin if he had received a copy of Aetna's summary of evidence, and he indicated that he had. Is that correct, Mr. Bodin?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have those documents available to you, it may be helpful for you to refer to them and follow along as Ms. Mucciardi presents Aetna's case.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, prior to getting on the record, I confirmed with Mr. Bodin that there were some documents submitted on his behalf. Those documents appear to have been submitted by his doctor, so he does not have a copy. I have requested that the clerk's office send Mr. Bodin a copy of those documents while we are in the hearing today. I'm not sure if you will receive them, Mr. Bodin, but to be clear, Mr. Bodin has requested that I consider those documents during the hearing, and Ms. Mucciardi has confirmed that she's received a copy of those documents, which total 3 pages. Is that correct, Ms. Mucciardi?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Since all parties and witnesses are present and no one else is expected to appear, I am now going to lock the hearing to ensure that we are not interrupted and to protect any protected health information disclosed during this hearing. If anyone becomes disconnected from the call for any reason, please wait a moment to allow me to unlock the hearing and then call back in using the same call-in instructions. Please keep in mind that I will only wait for 5 minutes before I either end the hearing or move on without the person who's dropped off. Before we begin, let me briefly explain the procedure for the hearing. Mr. Bodin has filed an appeal of a decision by the Louisiana Department of Health, by Aetna Better Health. The purpose of this hearing is for me to gather facts and information related to the issue on appeal. Aetna will present its case first. When Ms. Mucciardi has finished her presentation, it will then be your turn, Mr. Bodin, to present your case. At that time, you may ask Ms. Mucciardi or her witnesses any questions that you feel are relevant. You may also present documents, make statements, and present other evidence in support of your position. After you finish presenting your case, Ms. Mucciardi may have some questions for you. In addition, throughout the proceeding, I may have questions for anyone participating. After the hearing is completed, I will review the applicable policies, testimony, and evidence presented, and I will then render a written decision. Each party will receive a copy of the final decision within a few weeks from today. Mr. Bodin, this will end your administrative remedies. However, if you are not satisfied with my decision, you can request that I reconsider this matter. You can also seek judicial review either in East Baton Rouge Parish at the 19th Judicial District Court or in the district court in the parish in which you reside. Mr. Bodin, do you have any questions about the procedure for today's hearing?
Could you also get the clerk to send me a copy of the procedure? Like this that you just mentioned of the, if this doesn't go as with your decisioning, like the what would happen next type of a thing? Is that something you guys hand out?
The final page of the decision will have your review rights. It'll tell you the applicable laws to any further appeals that you have. It'll also tell you that you can request a reconsideration. So that information will be part of the decision.
Oh, and the stuff about like East Baton Rouge and everything like that. Okay, cool.
Yes. Do you have any other questions?
No, ma'am. No.
Okay. Ms. Mucciardi, any questions about the procedure?
No, thank you.
Okay. At this time, I will administer the oath or affirmation to all those who will testify today. By taking the oath, you shall affirm or swear that your testimony will be truthful. After I recite the oath, I will ask each of you to state your name and say I do or I affirm, beginning with Ms. Mucciardi. If you all would, please raise your right hands at this time. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, Ms. Mucciardi?
Ashley Mucciardi, I do.
Ms. Lewis?
Connie Lewis, I do.
Ms. Joseph?
Stella Joseph, I affirm.
Dr. Main?
Madeline Main, I affirm.
Ms. Smith?
Vanessa Smith, I do.
And Mr. Bodin?
Oh, Jeffrey Thomas Bodin, I affirm.
Thank you. The issue for today's hearing, as I understand it, is whether Aetna was correct to deny Mr. Bodin's October 13th, 2021 prior authorization request for Amphetamine-Dextroamphetamine tablets. Mr. Bodin, is that your understanding of the issue?
Yes.
Is that the reason for your...
Yes, and in general, just reviewing it all to deny it. I'm not sure if denial comes before, like, bringing it up for denial, but both, I guess.
But the reason for your appeal is because your request for that medication was denied. Is that correct?
Yeah, it shouldn't be denied at all, basically.
Okay. Ms. Mucciardi, is that also your understanding of the issue?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Mucciardi, please proceed with your presentation.
Okay. Ashley Mucciardi with Aetna Better Health. I will be presenting our summary of evidence, identifying information. This is regarding Jeffrey Bodin, docket number 2022-0424-LDH. The action the claimant is appealing. Jeffrey Bodin is appealing the denial for the medication Amphetamine-Dextroamphetamine. The explanation of action on October 13, 2021, the health plan received a prior authorization request for Amphetamine-Dextroamphetamine 30 milligram tablets to be taken 3 times a day, which is Exhibit A. After review of the prior authorization information, it was determined the prior authorization for Jeffrey Bodin's medication was denied for a requested dose above the Food and Drug Administration's maximum of 30 milligram tablets 2 times a day for a diagnosis of narcolepsy. According to the criteria used, which was a Louisiana Medicaid stimulants and related agents and quality level guideline, this drug is not approved by the Food and Drug Administration at the requested dose to treat condition. The medical literature does not find it safe and effective, which is Exhibit B. On October 14, 2021, the Notice of Action Determination Letter, which is Exhibit C, was mailed to the member and faxed to the provider. On December 3rd, 2021, a verbal appeal request and clinical study, which is Exhibit D, were received from Jeffrey Bodin for reconsideration of prior authorization denial for Amphetamine-Dextroamphetamine medication. On December 30th, 2021, the medical director, Gary Rule, reviewed the appeal request, which is Exhibit D, and medical records and made the following determination. The health plan will not approve the request. The health plan can cover 30 milligram tablets, 2 tablets a day. Your doctor ordered 30 milligram tablets 3 times a day. You have narcolepsy, which is a condition causing extreme daytime sleepiness. This drug is not approved by the Food and Drug Administration at the requested dose to treat your condition. The medical literature does not find it safe and effective. A second doctor, board certified in neurology, completed a same or similar specialist review, which is Exhibit F. On December 30th, 2021, the appeal decision letter, which is Exhibit E, was mailed to the member. The related documents we've provided is Exhibit A, which is the prior authorization request, and 2 total pages. Exhibit B is the guideline used, which is 7 total pages. Exhibit C, excuse me, is a notice of action, which is 7 total pages. Exhibit D is the appeal request, which is 45 total pages. Exhibit E is the appeal decision letter, which is 9 total pages. And Exhibit F is the same or similar specialist review, which is 3 total pages.
Ms. Mucciardi, are you requesting that I consider these documents when I make my decision?
Oh, sorry, I missed that. What did you say?
Are you requesting that I admit these documents into evidence and consider them when I make my decision?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bodin, you've just heard Aetna's reasons for making its decision, and you've received a copy of their documents. Ms. Mucciardi has asked me to consider these documents when I make my decision. I understand that you disagree with their decision. You may also disagree with some of their documents. My question for you is, other than that you disagree, is there any other reason why I should not consider these documents?
Well, not particularly. I had some questions about, which I don't know if can be answered or not. It's from a realistic standpoint.
Okay, you can answer your questions in just a moment when you present your case. My question right now is just about the documents themselves.
It was mainly about Exhibit F. That was it. That was the only thing I was questioning.
What's your concern about Exhibit F?
It didn't seem like it was completed in, like, maybe... It seemed almost auto-populated to me, but that could just be me. Like, most of it seemed fine, but it seemed maybe like Exhibit F wasn't presented to whoever was handling it with the literature that I submitted to Ms. McCarty. I'm not sure if that is how that works, but it seems like I could gather that from just looking at it with how short it is, and with the specific indication that there is about the the following sources, and the sources that are stated on the request for the rationale would indicate that the sources that I submitted, which was medical literature from expected expertise, actually kind of the very top, was not there under references. So I wasn't sure if maybe that just hadn't gotten to that individual, because I submitted the full copy of it.
I'm going to consider your comments as an objection to Exhibit F. I'm going to overrule your objection, and I'm going to consider Exhibit F to give it its proper weight, and we'll continue to discuss Exhibit F. You can also ask Ms. Mucciardi questions about Exhibit F when you present your case, okay? The summary of evidence is admitted into evidence as marked. Also admitted are related documents, exhibits A, B, C, D, E, and F for a total of 75 pages. Okay, Mr. Bodin, it's now your opportunity to continue to testify and to present the reasons that you disagree with Aetna's decision. You can discuss the documents submitted by your doctor, or you can make statements at this time.
Okay, well, on Exhibit F, the parts of the credible scientific evidence published in peer-reviewed medical literature generally recognized by relevant medical community not met. That's false. I submitted just that. So I think that maybe they didn't get that, or didn't look on PubMed for it. Maybe they don't know the search terminology quite right for that. I can understand that this is a specific neurological disorder, even if it's quite a bare bones one for teaching purposes, as I've been instructed directly by physicians in the past. due to its storied history with neurology founding the field. I understand that and have met many physicians over the almost, like 7-8 years I've been diagnosed with narcolepsy, but having it for 10 years, 11 years or so since I was diagnosed with cancer, there is a frequent gap in knowledge with that. And I understand that. That's, something I've learned. So I kind of expected something like that. But the one last bullet point there of credible scientific evidence, published peer review, not met, is very, very false. This is one of the most well published and peer reviewed chemical reactions with any reagent in pharmacology that can be compounded and within this reaction in the human brain. It's used as a control for many other disorders to found them as disorders at all. And it kind of, that specifically to me just looks like it's something that's probably just put on the form, because that would kind of be confusing, or maybe they're not allowed to use stuff that they can just look up or something, which to me is bothersome, because I don't like when that happens. But I could see that happening because of a court thing that I just don't understand myself. But
Mr. Bodin, when you're referring to the bullet points, can you specify which page of Exhibit F you were referring to?
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Specifically, Aetna Exhibit F, page 2 of 3. About 20% into the page, there's a second bullet point, and it's a unfilled circle, and it's right after the or. That specific block of text, mainly the first full string ending with a semi-quote, and then the second string of not met that.
Okay, Mr. Bodin, is there anything else you would like me to know about the reasons you disagree with Aetna's decision?
I mean, that's a pretty big one, just because the literature is so extreme that's kind of, because I would reference the literature that I submitted, but I don't, because I think I'm pretty sure you have that. I guess I could ask, do you have Aetna Exhibit D, page 36 of 45?
Yes, is there something particular you would like to say about that page?
Yes, ma'am. On midway through, because it's like a table, amphetamine salts, in the Adderall, starting daily dose and maximum daily dose, that right there is a reference to maximum per dosage and minimum per dosage, but not how many in quantity of dosages doses there is in the day. Because my doctors have always been prescribing me TID for 3 times daily due to the 2-hour full time in my bloodstream of the medicine per blood glucose level, and I'm on a very low dosage comparatively because my weight is very low. Most of the literature runs off of individuals who are about double my mass in kilograms. I'm only 104 pounds, I believe, last time I was weighed with my oncologist, Dr. Bolme.
Mr. Bodin, can you go back for a moment? And you mentioned PID. Can you clarify what that means for the record?
For the record, TID, as shown on scripts written for the pharmacy and in call codes to and from pharmacies, it means 3 times daily, 3 individual dosages. It either or, that is an alias for it.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you'd like me to know at this time?
That the 60 maximum is 60 per each of those 3, which inherently runs contrary to the Louisiana's own specific Medicaid standards. And I think that might be a common misconception, is that this basic math here that isn't very well expressed in a simple graph, unless you have other contextual knowledge from other peer-reviewed literature, which does have it in other tables expressed maybe in another block of text, or like a asterisk or something, because inherently 60 milligrams is the maximum safe dosage for a human, but with no definable amount of times it can be taken in a day, is so long as it has fully worn off, which it does within 2 hours for at least the amphetamine salts Adderall, which is what the dextroamphetamine salts tab combo is, which is what we're talking about here. It's the very, very short and half-life medication. It's not the full day medication that is very ineffective for narcolepsy, as that is not that would not reach the threshold to increase my seizure level or cause wakefulness, because it's the same thing, because it's not the full dosage and efficacy at once. It's across the whole day. That's why the amphetamine salts Adderall is a higher dosage than some might see, but multiple times a day staggered. And that's why they prescribe it in three doses in the day, because that only gives me 6 hours maximum, and that's at peak efficacy. Other things can affect the efficacy, which will lower that 6 hours, or nullify the effects entirely. Like if I had caffeine in my system, the medicine will stop working because of it causing the metabolization of it to be 40 to like 80% faster, I think. So it basically just doesn't work. One of my neurologists had explained that to me in the past. So I don't drink coffee or anything like it because of that reaction.
Mr. Bodin, let me ask you if you received a copy of the document emailed to you by the Division of Administrative Law.
Oh, I can check,
3-page document. That was okay. Can you check to see if you received that document?
Yes, ma'am. I got the privacy and confidentiality warning, and it looks like there's 2 PDFs attached. So I do believe so. Okay. Yes, ma'am. I got Brian Bolme, page 1 of 3. It says filed, top right corner. I can't read the text. It's literally, the text
and there
is
were
unreadable.
2 documents submitted by Dr. Bolme. One of them was illegible, and the other one, I believe, was clear. But to be clear, you do want us to consider the records sent by Dr. Bolme. Is that correct?
Let me check. I mean, yeah, it looks like he just put in with what my other medications are,
Okay.
And some general information about my interferon and the did he put anything about the melanocyte response, the leukocytic reaction? No. Okay, I guess I don't need to mention that then. If he didn't add it, then it's not important.
Ms. Mucciardi, do you have any objection to me admitting the 3-page document from Mr. Bodin's doctor into evidence?
No.
Okay. The document submitted by Dr. Bolme on behalf of Mr. Bodin is admitted, and after the hearing, I'll mark it as Appellant's Exhibit 1. Okay, Ms. Mucciardi, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to Mr. Bodin's testimony so far, and then I'm going to have some questions for you. Is there anything that Aetna would like to say in response at this time?
Yes, hi. We are going to have Dr. Main present on this.
Okay.
I'll allow her to speak on medical necessity.
Yeah, hi, thanks. This is Dr. Main. Aetna Better Health of Louisiana follows the Louisiana Medicaid preferred drug list, of which it states that amphetamine salts for the treatment of narcolepsy is max dose of a daily dose So that means whatever is taken during the day, that 60 milligrams is the maximum amount of that you can go through for the actual whole day. That could be divided into TID, which is 3 times a day, which would be 20 milligrams 3 times a day. When there is an appeal, especially when it's by a member, we do follow Medicaid standard and guidelines and law and have same specialty review. This was reviewed by a neurologist using current up-to-date standards, of which also state that for the treatment of narcolepsy, max daily dose of amphetamine salts is 60 milligrams a day. We do, when there is an issue and we do really want to understand what's going on, we also did review this case with our behavioral health medical director, who is a psychiatrist and also a addictionologist, and we were all in agreement with the current evidence stating that 60 milligrams a day is the max dose, also approved by the Food and Drug Administration for the treatment of narcolepsy. So at this point, we stand with the denial, but we are certainly willing and will accept the judge's determination.
Okay, Dr. Main, do you have a copy of the document submitted by by Aetna as evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The authority that you referred to, the Louisiana Medicaid Preferred Drug List, is that included in the document?
Yes. The criteria for I think it is, and you'll have to, it is Exhibit B, is the guidelines that come from the Louisiana Medicaid Stimulants and Related Agents. So when you look on the preferred drug list for a non-preferred drug or for an alternative dosing, we do have to follow the Stimulants and Related Agents or required criteria for approval. That's Exhibit B.
Okay. The page and paragraph in Exhibit B determining this case.
We say that, what we do is we follow, and I'll just go through how we do this, but you can see that for initial and reauthorization approval for all stimulants, we follow for children under 7 years. Mr. Bodin certainly is over the age of 7 years, so we scroll down, and then we say, there's a second paragraph on page 2 that says for recipients over the age of 7 years, and then we look to see where the drug treatment is, where, the amphetamine salt that he's referring to, and I'm looking, and so when we look and we continue to look, we look for those related agencies that, that he's requesting. And then what we do, if we can't find it here, we look for the quantity. So certainly the drug that he's requesting is actually the treatment for narcolepsy. And if you refer back to the preferred drug list, there's a separate addendum that talks about quantity limits. And it states that there's a quantity limit edit on this medication. So for those over 60 milligrams max daily dose, it's not approved because it is not approved by the Food and Drug Administration for over that amount of dosing. So if you follow this guideline, you have to actually go to the secondary page, which I'm actually not sure if that quantity limit edit did make it into this packet.
Okay, wait. Dr. Bain, I'm going to ask my question again because your answer was thoroughly unclear. What part of Exhibit B was used to make the determination in this case?
So for Exhibit B, we followed the criteria. Okay, so the criteria was since he meets the criteria for the medication to be used for that diagnosis. Okay, when we see that there may be point of sale edit. Okay, and so
what does that mean?
A point of sale edit means that when the member or whomever is taking the prescription to the pharmacy, goes to the pharmacy to try to put the prescription through, that it automatically denies or sends it to, that they can't fill it because that quantity limit has been reached. So if you look here, it says on page 4, when we say that the recipient has a diagnosis approved for the medication requested. C, point of sale edits. And so we're looking, for his medication, okay, which is an approved drug. But it's, for example, when we look for point of sale edits, because it's not on Exhibit B, we do look for those point of sale edits. We go to a separate point of sale edit quantity limit sheet. Okay, that's included in the preferred drug list.
And the preferred drug list is not included in the evidence, is that correct?
Ashley, is the preferred drug list in the evidence?
That is not included in here, but right below the guideline you are referring to, the quantity limit guideline is attached, which goes into further detail as the second level Dr. Main was discussing, which is Exhibit B, page 6 of 7.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Main, go back to Exhibit B, page 4. And you said after the diagnosis is approved for medication requested, see POS edits. What happens after that?
So then you would go down to the point of edit, so the point of sale edits, and it says that they are quantities of medications that have not been established by the Food and Drug Administration, maximum dosing. And so what happens is that when a medication could be approved, so certainly the Amphetamine-Dextroamphetamine is approved for use in narcolepsy up to 60 milligrams, right? So the criteria, because he meets the criteria for the diagnosis, but not for the amount of medication, you get denied for the quantity limit. And because it's not approved by the Food and Drug Administration, we deny it.
Is there somewhere in the documents the statement that you're making about the maximum approved by the Food and Drug Administration? Is that included in the document somewhere?
It's in the denial letter. It's also in, so it's
is there some Medicaid policy or Aetna policy that was used to determine that the amount of medication he was prescribed was over the FDA limit?
Medicaid.
Okay. Is that included in the document?
Yes.
Okay. Where is that included in the document?
So because it's on page 7, like Ashley had said, it's of the Louisiana Medicaid stimulants and related agents. This is directly from the Medicaid preferred drug list.
Okay, I'm struggling. There's nothing in Exhibit B that I can see that refers to amphetamines or dextroamphetamines, or refers to the FDA maximums for that drug. Am I missing something?
Okay, so Ashley, is the preferred drug list here? No,
it is not. List. It is not attached, but the quantity limit guideline is below, right where you guys are referring to. It is on page Aetna Exhibit B, page 6 of 7. And I think some of the confusion is because these documents were coming from other places, so there's a couple numbers on them. So up in the right-hand corner, Aetna Exhibit B, page 6 of 7, is the quantity level limit guideline. And the policy guideline says prescription requests that exceed established quantity level limits will require prior authorizations. Drugs that are subject to additional utilization management requirements must meet the clinical criteria and medical necessity for approval, in addition to any established quantity level limits. And it does talk about, right below where I'm speaking of, quantities that exceed Food and Drug Administration maximum dose. And there's some bullets below that. Do you see where I'm reading that?
I believe it's highlighted in my copy. Is that what you're referring to, Ms. Mucciardi?
Yeah, the coverage, it says Aetna Better Health, and it's at the bottom of Exhibit B with the other guideline that's used for the actual diagnosis. This is what breaks out what Dr. Main was discussing, the quantity level, which is the issue here. And that was established by the federal, or the Food and Drug Administration.
Okay.
I apologize because what I'm looking at is not the complete. I must not have the complete exhibit in front of me. I apologize about that.
Okay. Dr. Main, you also referred to this matter being reviewed by a neurologist and a behavioral health medical director. What authority were those doctors using in making their determination to uphold Aetna's decision?
Of course. So we do we use a vendor by the name of MCMC they don't make determinations, but they can make recommendations for determinations. And so, we use MCMC for same specialty review because we don't have same specialty review for all specialties within the health plan itself, but we do have access within the Aetna system, but also through our vendor. And so when a vendor is used, such as MCMC, the Appeals and Grievances Department sends all of the original prior authorization, the original determination, the state criteria that we used to make the determination, as well as any additional exhibits or information that providers or members have sent in regards to their appeal. So all of it goes into a bundle. Ashley and her team send it to MCMC. Stephen Selkirk is the PhD MD. He's a board-certified neurologist that did review this request. They also get all of the information regarding previous claims and other medications that the member may be on. Sometimes there's a contraindication that also needs to be determined that may not necessarily be in the criteria, but it's because of a medical condition that's contraindication. So we send any and all evidence and criteria that's available to us at the time to be reviewed by the same specialty physician. And so Dr. Selkirk did have access to all of the clinicals as well as the state preferred drug list and the additional criteria for stimulants as well as the quantity limits. And you can see here the references on Exhibit F do state that the references that were given were the Louisiana Medicaid stimulant and related agents, Aetna Better Health of Louisiana Limit, PA guidelines, Louisiana Medicaid medical necessity criteria. So that's all of the criteria that I just described, as well as he used, looks like, these two additional sources for making his determination.
Mr. Bodin made reference to some documents he included in his first level appeal. Do you know if those documents were considered in the review of Aetna's decision?
I cannot speak to, I have to ask Ashley if she sent it to MCMC, but I do believe that those documents came after that the determination was made by the neurologist. We do have a behavioral health medical director, Dr. Jared Wakeman, who is actually out of the office today and could not attend this meeting. So we did review the case last week with him. He's a board certified psychiatrist and addictionologist. He did review that study that Mr. Bodin is referring to. We also reviewed the additional clinicals, which Mr. Bodin had submitted. He agreed at the time, and I only have a verbal agreement that he was in agreement with the denial. Like I said, he was unable to be here. I just wanted to review the case with him and get his medical opinion.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions at this time. Mr. Bodin, do you have any questions for Ms. Mucciardi or for Dr. Main, or any other statements you would like to make?
Sure. I guess the clinical psychiatrist, since you only have a verbal affirmation to his clinical opinion, and you were allowed to overrule something previously when we were talking about it. I don't really know how court proceedings work very well myself, but I just throw it out there. Would it be possible for you to, because it's only a verbal affirmation, disregard his clinical opinion for the case?
Is that a question for me, Mr. Bodin?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you, ma'am.
I don't know the proper weight to give that affirmation. Anyway, at this point, I'm merely gathering information, I can certainly consider whether or not that affirmation needs to be given any weight at all. What I'm particularly interested in is the decision that Aetna made, and then the subsequent review and any notes that were made with regard to that review. So I'm not sure that Dr. Main's testimony about the additional person's affirmation is relevant. I'm not sure about that at this point.
Okay, because specifically on the denial regarding at least the psychiatry portion with on Aetna Exhibit D, page 40 out of 45. If you all did review the submitted literature. Direct you to I guess it would be the previous page. Sorry, because it kind of it goes into the top of this page. So the Aetna Exhibit D, page 39 of 45, the amphetamines subsection on the bottom, not methylphenidate, but amphetamines. It shows the first sentence of the high potentials for abuse, referring to, of course, normal individuals, and how adverse effects have been reported. In 37 is the reference for that, for the citation within this study, which is a broad scoped review of everything with narcolepsy and all treatment and all practice. The second, the comma, in clinical practice, comma, patients with narcolepsy rarely abuse drugs for narcolepsy or develop addictions. There is 38 and 39 for citations for that single string and single sentence, which probably would be possibly relevant to the psychiatrist that they had review. I'm not sure if he went through and also reviewed 38 and 39, but if that would be possible, that would probably be something I'd recommend, as due to this, in fact, stating the abuse, rebuke uptake, and the extremely unrealistic case that anyone with narcolepsy having an inherent deficiency of dopamine in our brains, because we can't produce it or stimulate the production of it because of the brain damage, becoming addicted to anything, because you have to become tolerant to become addicted, and we're far below that to the extent where we have seizures and fall asleep and die. And the second sentence after that 38 and 39 that's in the little block, this may in part be due to an effect on their reward system that predisposes to the reduced addiction associated with hypocretin loss. That's also something that should probably be reviewed too, which is those three, 38, 39, and 40, are probably going to be a very technical citations
Mr.
to
Bodin,
review, but they're very important with understanding, especially within psychiatry, because I've gone through that with my own psychiatrist before. And that
Mr. Bodin, I want to focus your attention for a moment. The purpose of this hearing and for my decision is to only review whether or not Aetna made the correct decision based on the policies that they followed and based on what they claim is Medicaid policy and the other policies that they have to use to make this decision. So I understand what you're directing me to, but the limit of my decision is whether or not they made the right decision based on Medicaid policy. So I just want to focus your attention while you continue to testify about why you disagree with their decision. Are there other comments that you would like to make about why you disagree with their decision?
Yes. Okay, so within that context, then I guess it'd be more the math. So, which is good, because the next basic paragraph, dextroamphetamine, which is FDA approved for narcolepsy, it gives you the various milligrams it's available in as a produced pharmacy for pharmaceuticals, and it states, last sentence right there, maximum doses of 60 milligrams are recommended. And that's indicating, because of that sentence and the previous, literally that you're supposed to take minimum 3 doses. Is it given 3 to 4 times a day, which begets the previously stated extremely short acting and short efficacy of the medication itself, and how the intention for treatment of narcolepsy as a standard for narcolepsy in a review of narcolepsy, citing pretty much all of the prevailing literature that's peer-reviewed for narcolepsy, that in fact 60 milligrams at a time is the recommended course for everyone. And I'm under that just because of my weight. Otherwise, I'd be on 60 milligrams. And that's what my previous neurologists have also indicated with my treatment, which started before I was with Aetna and was also covered in the state of Louisiana. And so the Aetna decisioning that's decided upon 60 milligrams, I do believe is simply incorrect because it's not following this right here, and there's other citations in the body paragraphs of the actual dose per the numeral of 60. I believe the state of Louisiana's Medicaid guidelines has misinterpreted the prevailing standard of treatment of 60 to mean 60 per 24 hours, when in reality that would, because of, as evidence right here, be drastically under the dosage for minimum tolerance reaching and minimum efficacy and safety of the patients. That would be essentially not treating anyone for the narcolepsy, which means the seizure threshold doesn't hit the minimum, because you're supposed to, whatever the minimum to get your tolerance is what dose you're on. I'm just blessed that I guess I'm very thin. That's one of the positives of having cancer. I'm thin, and that helps a bit. But the 60 milligram number cited previously within the FDA not approving it and such is being misinterpreted. And I think that has, and I'm not saying they're wrong and decided incorrectly due to the paper they have in front of them. The paper is just, this proves it's wrong. And previous neurologists prescribing the medicine, and my current doctors and a psychiatrist, one of the directors of psychiatry at Tulane, prescribing same thing, it also shows that it's wrong. So I mean, if anything, Aetna's decisioning is wrong just because of that. And I don't know what the next step would be, but maybe changing that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bodin. Ms. Mucciardi, do you have any questions for Mr. Bodin or any other statements you would like to make?
I do not.
Okay. Dr. Main, anything else?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say to the court is that, frequently we review cases for whatever is being requested with current literature. It is well known that there is a lag time, and there could be, additional new literature that just hasn't been incorporated into criteria. I would like to stand by the fact that that's not the case in this point. It is well known, including the document that Mr. Bodin submitted, stating that 60 milligrams of dextroamphetamine is the maximum daily dose. It is quite well known that maximum daily dose is whatever is supposed to be taken during the day. FDA does create these max daily doses because the evidence outside of those daily doses does not necessarily lean to additional effects and could actually be harmful to people taking the medications outside of those recommended doses.
Where does it say the maximum daily dose?
Wait a minute. Wait. No, Mr. Bodin, it's not your opportunity to speak.
Sorry.
You've made your statement.
Sorry.
Thank you. Dr. Main, please continue.
Yeah, so the FDA recommended dose for Amphetamine-Dextroamphetamine for the treatment of narcolepsy is 5 max daily dose of 60 milligrams a day. So we understand that the request is for 90 milligrams a day. That's outside the Food and Drug recommended daily allowances that has been reviewed and that is the criteria by the state of Louisiana for the Medicaid preferred drug list that has been reviewed by a same specialty peer, neurologist, PhD. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. If there is nothing else, this hearing is concluded and the record is closed. I want to thank you all for participating in the hearing today. I'll review all the documents I have as well as the testimony I received today, and I'll make a written decision that you all should receive it within the next few weeks. Mr. Bodin, would you like to receive the decision by mail or by email?
Mail.
Okay. Can you confirm your mailing address for me, please?
528 Beau Shen Drive, Mandeville, Louisiana, 70471.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much again. This hearing is adjourned. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Stella Joseph at the Better Health.
Left the conference.
Judge Robertson
Has left the conference. A participant has left the conference.